What's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and today I want to talk to you all and I guess showcase a little bit of what Affliction Warlock looks like currently in Warcraft Beta. Going over some builds and single target, AoE, as well as rotational stuff, really just like in general, looking at how Affliction's, what its state is like in beta. Now, we're going into the later part of heroic raid testing next week, and we're getting to that point where there's maybe a bit less raw changes coming to like talents, new things being added, and more like numerical tuning. So, want to give a look at how that all feels in combat, go from there, and have that be the case. There's also going to be a video coming out on Destro and Demo in the same manner over the next few days, so keep an eye out for that. Or if you want to sub to the channel to come back for that and help me out, feel free to do so. Also, the War Within Warlock beta spreadsheet will indeed be going live on Patreon, like literally in a day or so. If you want early access to that, the tier 3 Hellcaller rank or higher does indeed get early access to that. Yeah, links to that up here and down below if you want to support there. And that being said, let's get it rolling. Alright, so getting into the talent builds here, we're going to cover both Hellcaller and Soul Harvester here for varying single target, cleave builds, and AoE builds. The first build I want to show here is actually going to be this build. This is where I'm sort of currently sitting for single target stuff. Clash Raise is sort of here, it's whatever, I'm looking basically over here. Now, when it comes to Hellcaller, the big thing here, just honestly across the board, when you're playing Wither, single target, AoE, and all that, you're playing Absolute Corruption. Because Siphon Life is a very minuscule gain over what AC does, and AC gives you infinite free globals compared to Refreshing Corruption every so often with Siphon Life. It feels better to play with, so on and so forth. I hit on this in the feedback document for a while, saying they need to buff Siphon Life. They probably should, if they want to make it, like, you know, competitive for both, but realistically, playing AC everywhere just feels really good. But either way, also, if you're playing Absolute Corruption, you have you can play Hate Fury Rituals over here in the Hellcaller tree, which makes it deal damage faster. I guess increased damage, but its duration is shorter, making it a bit easier to play comparatively to something like Bleakheart Tactics. I'm assuming Hate Fury is better, even though Bleakheart has some interactions in a sense, I guess you could say, with Seeds of Their Demise, having more Black and Soul stacks, a chance to have more through here when Wither does damage. But overall, I've been playing this I guess, build whatever here, and it's been pretty good in single target. So obviously up here you're playing excuse me, Wrath and Agony, Seed, leading into Kindled Malice, AC, and then Nightfall here. Now we have 1 point in Dark Virtuosity. It's likely that you want to have 2 points in Dark Virtuosity because Shadow Bolt, a lot more damage. But unfortunately, there's an issue in this part of the tree for Affliction, and this is the case for every version of AF, single target, cleave, or AoE. There's too many. The pathing in here is awkward when it comes to, like, you can't like get what you can't get everything you want. Now we're playing Sacrilege here when we're a Hellcaller for Wither damage, obviously. If you're not playing Hellcaller, you can pull this point and probably put it over here in Dark Lair, but either way, I'm playing this. Now the issue lies in the fact that we have essentially 2 points here in Singularity and Infirmity, and you have 2, 2, 2, and a lot of extra talents here. They're not really like bloat, but they're just like, you could sort of combine Improved Haunt with Haunt and things. And like, it feels like you want to have Improved Haunt basically whenever you play Haunt in single target. You like it in AoE as well at times you're playing Haunt, but unfortunately you're limited on talent points here, because if you backtrack a bit, you have 10 points to spend essentially in this part of the tree before you unlock your final row here. And the final row, it feels bad spending 6 points down here when you have 10 to backtrack and fill in other nodes up here. So in single target and ST Cleave and AoE, I have skipped Dark Lair fully. Dark Lair is just not that great. It's not bad, and it might be worth playing over points in things like Contagion and things like Malediction, which was reverted this build, but I'm not sure. Haven't run the math on it. Either way, I think Malevolent Visionary is a bit underrated in single target, and Dark Lair is relevant and relatively strong in single target, but with Kindled Malice moving up here, comparatively, with this Malign Omen being moved here, comparatively to being down here, there's a bit less of a want, I feel like, for Dark Lair. But either way, I'm playing Haunt, Shadow's Embrace, Sacrilege for Wither damage increase. Cunning Cruelty also, this will be nerfed at some point in single target, and when it is, you could maybe pull this point and go into like Dark Lair, maybe put this here for Soul Harvester. But either way, current builds on beta, you're probably playing both these as Hellcaller. Playing a point here in Infirmity, you're playing 2 in Contagion, 2 in Malediction, 1 in Haunt, and then the final row here unlocks. Now, I think the final row is actually pretty solid when it comes to talent choices here for the ones that I can take. Or for the ones that are tuned right, how do I word this? there are some subpar ones. Please ignore those. The rest of them are pretty good. So, like for example, I think Relinquished should likely be up here somewhere in the tree. I don't think it's good enough to be down here in a sense. It's good, but like there's a lot of good nodes you want to hear as well. I probably don't get Relinquished in many settings. This is just not very strong. It's like 1.5% of your damage. They probably can't buff it a whole lot more because it's gonna be really strong whenever it hits. But like I think we've hit the threshold of like it hits for a lot when it refreshes, but you don't cast it a whole lot because it's UA refresh, right? So I think you make it cunning cruel. You make it cascading calamity and move on with life. But you're probably not playing this. Probably not playing this. So Death's Embrace is one that I want to play. So for single target, I'm currently playing Creeping Death, Xavius' Gambit, Focus Malignancy, Withering Bolt, Tormented Crescendo, Improve Rapture, you need this, and I'm playing a point in Malefic Touch. Now I think Touch likely goes over here into Death's Embrace in single target, probably. They doubled the effect of this, 5 to 10, and increased the range from 20 to 35, so much stronger now. And obviously playing Oblivion here in single target too. But if there's movement on the fight a lot, or like two target fights, Oblivion probably goes. But either way, I've been playing this in single target, something like this, and it feels pretty good. Death's Embrace is awkward on dummies though, keep that in mind if they're low on health. You'll get that damage up at times, but other times they might not be. Regardless, I've been playing this. Some customization here. If you're playing something like Soul Harvester, however, in single target, things may change a little bit because Soul Harvester revolves a lot around Nightfall. You have things like Necrolite Teachings, which buff Shadow Bolt, all that kind of stuff. Nightfall increases damage of Shadow Bolt and Drain Soul, though, by 50%. Nightfall. Things like Satial's Ambition. Consuming Nightfall feeds a demonic soul, having it spawn to do damage. This, Consuming Nightfall, activates Shared Fate or Feast of Souls. A lot of Nightfall-based effects right here. Haunt grants Nightfall. So when it comes to your capstone row, chances are high you're going to want Ravenous Afflictions playing Soul Harvester, because you can get more Nightfall procs, right? Now this is very undertuned currently. When it's tuned properly, it's likely worth playing a Soul Harvester. To a similar extent, things like Sacrilash's Dark Strike. Not at the best anymore in single target because you're not playing Wither anymore. You're playing Demonic Soul, Soul Harvester stuff, right? So probably this point comes out of here and likely goes maybe here, maybe into Dark Lair, whatever the best pound for pound point is in Sims, you'll probably do it. To a similar extent, whenever this is nerfed, you'll probably put this up here or maybe down here, not really sure. But there's still a bit of bloat in this part of the tree because essentially I still want to have improved haunt and single target as well as like Cold of the Week essentially. But you know, two. Can't really do much about it. But yeah, down here, for the most part, like I said, the big thing here, I'd likely pull a point, maybe from like Xavius's, from Malignancy. Well, it's hard to say because Xavius is right here and you can't really path into Oblivion like this. And honestly, what I've been thinking is you might just pull Xavius's Gambit and Oblivion because you don't really want to spend shards on non-rapture based events because of how Demonic Soul works. Whenever a soul is succulent, which is always guaranteed to be that way, basically, in a sense, whenever you cast your Soul Rot, it'll spawn your Shadow of Death, your Demonic Soul, every time. So spending 2 shards on an Oblivion might not be worth it comparatively to spending 2 shards on a Rapture. So Soul Harvester might look something like, probably like this instead. Putting a point here and probably a point here, maybe a point here depending on shard gen, but either way, likely pulling out of Xavius's Gambit, at least pulling out of Oblivion and seeing where this last point goes. Maybe it's like Relinquish, maybe it goes here. But a couple things changing here and there. For single target. Getting into single target cleave, honestly, not a whole lot really is going to change here between Hellcaller and Soul Harvester, honestly. The only real thing I changed here, I pulled 2 points out of Contagion, put them in Cold a week, and honestly, it's basically it. If it is like stack cleave, you can get Dark Harvest value, you're going to want to pull a point somewhere and put it in here. This does cleave on the targets, essentially, to each target it affects. Whenever Rapture hits a target, so you might want this, you might want Dark Harvest as well. Maybe pulling a point from, once again, over here, and going into here, as well as not playing Oblivion because you're playing a cleave setting, Oblivion. A bit more awkward there. But once again, not a whole lot really changing very much. This is like those fights like Sarkareth, where you have ads spawning in phase 2, a little bit in phase 3, but you want that prio single target. I'd probably play a build like this as Hellcaller. As Soul Harvester, once again, I mean, you could change things from like Sacrilash into like Dark Glare and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, I've rocked a build basically like this in Cleave, and things have worked out, honestly, or also Death's Embrace here. Things have worked out overall, you know, pretty well. Depends a bit on the fight. Now, when it comes to AoE, honestly, if you look at the tree here, once again, not a crazy amount changing. So we're pathing into Volatile Agony, we're not playing this here. This is wrong. This is just from changing talents. We're not playing Siphon Life, we're playing AC here, obviously. We're pathing into Volatile Agony, which gives you a refresh of basically a damage event whenever you refresh Agony. It does work with Vital Taint refreshing Agony on targets, right? So you're playing Vital Taint or Volatile Agony here. I'm playing Vital Taint here. I'd like to play Infirmity, but I don't think I can get value out of this. I don't think I can get a point here because I want Sacrolash, this Hellcaller. I want this in AoE. I likely want Haunt and Shadow's Embrace for single target emphasis, but maybe you can pull one of these to hop in here somewhere, or pop in the Dark Lair somewhere, something of some sort. But either way, I've been playing essentially this. Getting full Soul Rot, full Dark Harvest Cleave, all that. Getting points of Malignancy for a bit of single target focus. Same thing with Xavius' Gambit. But you could pull the point from somewhere over here. Maybe just pulling Xavius' Gambit, heading into Malefic Touch for that bit more cleave-based damage. It does hit every target that has... basically, this procs every target that Rapture hits, right? And if you want a bit more, you know, in general, like cleave relevancy, you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you could pull a point up here from somewhere and put it down here in Death's Embrace. The question is from where? Could you pull from here? Maybe, possibly, but this would probably be a sim thing. Likely favoring Embrace a bit, but also in AoE, crit chances on dots, a little more relevant than in single target, I guess, in a sense. So, but the gist of it really, I mean, if you're playing cleave stuff, I want to have Cold a Week. If you're playing like AoE stuff, like consistent stat cleave, I want Volatile Agony. I want Vital Taint there. Besides that, I want PS in single target, or PS in those like cleave-esque kind of settings. But for the most part, I'm not ever playing Perpetual Instability. I'm probably not playing Relinquished a whole lot, and probably playing this only as probably a Soul Harvester, because while it is really good with Soul Harvester, it's not very synergistic with Hellcaller, and the proc chance is very low. So I need to buff the proc chance on this. I believe it's 0.4 procs per minute. But Soul Harvester itself has a lot of really cool interactions with things like Feast of Souls and Shared Fate. Whenever you consume a Nightfall stack, you essentially activate one of the two. Shared Fate is basically like a dot-based Soul Flame. Just it reduces damage past 8 targets. But we saw it early on in Alpha, exploding in Metery, right? Doing insane damage. They've square-rooted it, but it's still solid when it comes to that effect. This has been bugged forever. When it's working, though, it will do much more damage. Also, having those minute soul rot windows whenever it spawns your demonic soul, every Rapture cast, is very, very strong with cooldowns. The problem, though, is that outside of cooldowns, Soul Harvester feels very, very lackluster, at least to me, in single target and AoE. Now, at the same time, or once again, this is not working. This is undertuned. I believe something else is not working here as well. So when they fix those bugs, it's likely that it's a lot better. Is it better than Hellcaller? Hard to say. But if you want links to these builds, they're all down below. You have to change Soul Harvester versus Hellcaller on your own, but links to them all down below in the description. Let's look at them briefly in combat. All right, so what we're going to look at here initially is going to be Hellcaller Affliction in single target. Now, I'm going to be playing Absolute Corruption here. If you're testing this on dummies, by the way, and you have AC rolling permanently and it won't clear, what you want to do is swap the Siphon Life here, like when you're out of combat. Come back in, apply Wither. It will override the Absolute Corruption, and then you can just walk outside, get out of combat, and change back to AC if you want. You can also just play, you know, Siphon Life if you want. They're all very similar, whatever works for you. But that is how you essentially clear out permanent Absolute Corruptions, because Warlock demo testing is a pain. Putting that aside, so what we want to do here, we're going to head in, and we're going to play Hellcaller. Now, we're playing Absolute Corruption, we're playing Hellcaller, Malevolence, so on and so forth. 1 minute Rapture windows with Clash Trinket, or sorry, with PP Trinket currently, and Malevolence. Now, I'm going to open up here by precasting a Haunt into a UA, and I've been typically popping my Oblivion when I have 2 shards left in my Rapture window, but I want to pop it when I have Malevolence still active, because Oblivion's tick rate is hasted. You can get like a full 4th tick and a bit of a 5th tick in as well if you pop it with Malevolence versus not. There's a lot of debate on where to pop it. Some say pop it before, pop it after, pop it on cooldown. The sim computer will know when beta's over, but for now, my Florida Man brain is popping it during Rapture window. Do whatever you want. It's all fine. So we're going to open up here by precasting a Haunt and clear this out. Precasting a Haunt into an Unstable Affliction. I'm going to go Agony, Wither, 2 Shadow Bolts for Shadow's Embrace. 1 basically. Here's 2. I'm going to go Singularity, Soul Rot, Trinket, Malevolence, and begin Rapturing. We got TC proc there. That's nice. We're going to dump this, launch that bolt, pop my Oblivion. Now we have 2 TC procs here. We're going to dump both these, dump that, try and catch my Haunt. One more Rapture here before it falls. There you go. And that is that. This is falling here. You can dump one more towards the end if you want. Now, the cool thing is that with Malign Omen giving you those dot extensions and not being locked behind something like Dark Harvest anymore, is that you can essentially like get those PS soul or those PS soul rots rolling in your opener, pop your Oblivion in there, and also have a bit of time after you're done with the shards to come in to dump a couple more Raptures into the dots with the Malign Omen extension. With Dark Lair being around, if you're playing both Malign Omen and Dark Lair, it is a very long extension. You have no problems whatsoever getting multiple Raptures in. But unfortunately, with our middle of the tree being bloated, that's where we are. But you can see how smooth this is. You're really just maintaining 1 or 2 dots, Agony and UA. I'm going to have another window here, put up PS, put up Soul Rot, Trinket, Malevolence, begin Rapturing. So yes, Rapture, 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 refresh my Haunt earlier, why not? Dump my Oblivion here, cast this Shadow Bolt, catch my Agony, got a TC proc there, 1, 2, and barely missed the Soul Rot there on that one, but that's fine. You can see once again Malign Omen putting in work. Damage-wise, seeing around 780k, give or take. We'll stop here and take a look at the breakdown briefly. Wither being very high, unsurprisingly. Wither is very, very strong. The max hit was for 486k. Rapture being over a million, 1.1 crit-wise. Wither having a 30% crit chance. Agony, Shadow Bolts, Oblivion being here. The max tick of Oblivion being 1.28, basically 1.3 million damage, very strong as well. And from what I've heard, Oblivion's bugged, also not getting the bonus damage effect, like 30% from Wither. So I haven't tested it out, but likely is, and we'll see where that goes too. Probably a little better than it seems. Besides that, UA, Shadow Bolt Volley, which is this, it's overtuned, if you know, at some point. Blackened Soul, and everything else rounding out the top little bit, which this is a pretty typical breakdown for what you see as Affliction when it comes to like Hellcaller single target stuff. It's very fun to play. It's fun and like relatively managed. It's pretty easy to manage too, compared to like juggling Agony, Corruption, Siphon Life, UA, Singularity, Soul Rots, and all that, which isn't that hard in retail currently. But like playing with AC saves you so many globals comparatively to playing with Siphon Life, having to refresh your corruptions. And from going from retail where you're playing Siphon Life in its dot form on top of having to like refresh corruption, coming on here and playing this is a breath of fresh air. It is so much better, fluent, everything else. Yes, Rapture Slayer Spender, I understand, not everybody likes it. It is what it is. I don't know what to tell you, but it still feels really good. It's really fluent, and I like the gameplay a lot. I want to shift gears here and look at Soul Harvester as well. So I'm going to basically make another build here for Soul Harvester. New loadout, single target Soul Harvester. We're going to change a couple things around we talked about a minute ago in the talent section. So I want to pull a point out of Sacrolash, and I'm probably going to throw it over in Summon Dark Lair, just to show the difference with Dark Lair, without Dark Lair, and Malign Omen. You might want to put this point up here in Virtuosity. You likely do. But either way, I want to show you how Dark Lair feels here. Also, I want to get a point over here in Ravenous Afflictions because Nightfall chance and a lot of synergy with Nightfall and Soul Harvester. Let me change that in second here as well. Change to this. You've got things that give you damage increases to Nightfall-based effects right here. When it comes to Drain, Soul, and Shadow Bolt, you've got this whenever you get a Nightfall proc, it'll basically spawn your demon to do damage. Nightfall proc, give you one of these two. Nightfall damage increase, all this kind of stuff, or Haunt Rest Nightfall. A lot of Nightfall-based effects. If it says Nightfall, you want it for Soul Harvester. If it says Corruption or Wither for Hellcaller, you want that. So we're pulling out of Sacrolash, going into Dark Lair, it's fine. Going into Ravenous Afflictions and going from there. Now, keep in mind that these are bugged. This is not working. I believe something else in this tree is broken too. I just forgot what it is. And the damage in this tree feels pretty subpar at this point. Hellcaller was doing like 750 after her basically minute and a half, 2 in the fight. This is going to do less, but you'll see in the opener when you have your Soul Rot and things active on the target, it does a lot more. It does a good bit of damage too because of Shared Fate. So Soul Rot grants Shared Fate for 15 seconds. Whenever you Rapture, it always invokes your Demonic Soul, which is going to be the guy that spawns behind me in combat here, which always comes out. He does some damage as well and applies Soul Anathema, which is pretty strong. They nerfed Soul Anathema, and I believe his damage by half in the last build. I believe this is bugged, actually. This is bug 1 too, also. But you can see there's potential for the damage profile here when you actually, we get into combat here. So, reset this, we'll jump into here. Similar opener, we're not playing Oblivion here because we are playing this. We don't want to dump shards into Oblivion, we're going to dump them into Raptures instead. So there's that. Once again, we play Death Embrace too, but this is a dummy, so on and so forth. So we're going to open up here, precast a Haunt into a UA. Gonna go Agony, gonna go Corruption. You want to play Siphon Life here over AC, but I mean, honestly, like, it's fine for this testing. So we're gonna apply Shadow's Embrace there. PS, Soul Rot, Dark Glare, Trinket, and begin Rapturing. There's my Shadow of Death spawning every time I Rapture because I have Soul Rot active. There's Shadow of Death, right? So instead of casting Oblivion in this window, I want to cast Raptures, right? Look at my damage breakdown here. So he's a decent bit of it. Demonic Soul, 15%. Soul Anathema being 4%. Used to be a lot higher, but it was nerfed. But he's a lot of damage. He does damage to every target that has dots on it. Every target that's getting hit by a Rapture. So if you think about it, when it comes to AoE and things, when you go into a pack, put out a Seed to apply your Corruptions, put out your PS or your Vile Taint likely, and put out your Soul Rot, and just spam Raptures and spawn him a bunch, he does a tremendous amount of damage in AoE. We'll look at it here in a minute. The unfortunate part, though, outside of that, your damage is just really subpar. Like we were sitting at 750 after this window coming up as Hellcaller, but also a lot of the trees bug, so it's like we gotta wait and see where it goes. Gonna dump this proc here, going to their window here. So we're gonna hit our Singularity, hit our Soul right here, pop our Trinket, and we're gonna start Rapturing again. So we'll see the damage climb here. He's spawning a bit. Do this. Launch this bolt. Launch this bolt. I probably didn't launch bolts optimally here, but I mean, it's fine. That's what it is. Rapture again, and there is that. But you can see here that when I launch these bolts, these Nightfall-based bolts, we're like 140k lower here, Hellcaller. This effect is not working. This effect's not working very well either. So there's a lot of, I guess, lost value and relevancy there. But looking at the breakdown here, Shadow Bolt, super high. Like I said, you pretty much want to pull this point out of Dark Glare and put it up here in Dark Virtuosity. Now, interestingly enough, when it comes to Soul Harvester, I don't know why this is a thing, but it actually combines Shadow Bolt and Shadow Bolt Volley from what I'm seeing. So this is not just pure Shadow Bolt here. Actually, no, they changed that, so never mind. I'm just dumb. This is just pure Shadow Bolt. Hopefully like Shadow Bolt. Sorry. But yeah, Shadow Bolt's a large portion of damage. I mean, Shadow Bolt, Nightfall empowers Shadow Bolt or Drain Soul. And realistically, you have a lot of Nightfall procs between, Haunt, Grand, and Nightfall. Ravenous Afflictions, a million synergies here. This buffing the damage of Nightfall by Shadow Bolts, right? So there's that. I believe this was being buffed. It might still be being buffed by the effects as well that increase Shadow Bolt damage. I'm not totally sure. I have to look at that at some point. But besides that, Shadow Bolt, Rapture, Corruption, your Demonic Soul, which is the guy that spawns and does damage from your Soul Rots by a Shadow of Death and all that. Sitting here, Unstable Affliction, Agony, Volley, and Soul Anathema. This used to be much higher, but unfortunately it's much worse now. So, like, Hellcaller, having that button to hit, being Malevolence, feels really good everywhere, every minute. Soul Harvester feels good, too. Not as good, but, like, Hellcaller feels like it has damage regardless all the time, because Wither stacks, Black and Soul procking, it becoming acute. Soul Harvester's like, yeah, I hit my Soul Rot and I crank. But besides that, my damage is pretty subpar outside those windows. But the question is it subpar because of all the bugs, this not working, this being awkward, this being undertuned, and all that? Or is it subpar because Soul Rot's not half a minute now, like it is currently on retail? Let's look at them both in AoE. All right, now shifting gears here and looking at AoE, I think Hellcaller, this is what separates, this is where you can feel the difference between Hellcaller and Soul Harvester a lot when it comes to fun and enjoyability. Hellcaller, you've got Malevolence. This is a baby Dark Soul on a minute cooldown. It increases your haste, you do damage, all that. Soul Harvester, it feels good to know that you're doing more damage when your guy spawns, but like, you can't really feel it. You can feel haste effects. You can feel, hitting buttons and doing more damage, or feeling the haste, you know what I mean, right? But like, when it comes to like getting more crit on a spell or whatever, through like some other, like Dark Soul, I believe was Instability for Destruction back in the day, you knew you were getting more, but you couldn't really feel it. You can feel the haste, you can feel hitting the button, and you can feel your rotation changing. Now both are good, likely. I think Soul Harvester's gonna be good in Plus, probably when they fix the bugs and stuff. On death effects like Shared Fate, so on and so forth, all that. But we'll see. So this is the build I'm playing here. Number one is Hellcaller. It is worth noting that this is not working currently with Drain Soul, so I'm playing Shadow Bolt here because of that. I've been playing it in Plus, and it actually feels pretty good too, dumping Nightfall effects, whether it's for Hellcaller or Soul Harvester. The problem lies in the fact that you don't have much shard gen when a pack is dying because you're not playing Drain Soul. So we'll see where that goes. It's hard dumping Nightfall procs as Hellcaller and Soul Harvester in AoE when you're playing Drain Soul, because it requires a full channel versus, you know, one instant cast Shadow Bolt, as Shadow Bolt. So either way, 4 targets here. We're going to head in. So typical opener, playing AC or playing Vile Taint here. The points here are good. We're playing Dark Harvest for that haste crit amp here, which once again, the haste is multiplicative here, which also affects Malevolence comparatively to Soul Harvester not having that multiplicative effect. Either way, we're playing this here. Playing Malefic Touch, all that. Playing Cold a week over, I believe, 2 points somewhere. We're playing Fall to Agony, so on and so forth. So we're going to open up here. We're going to head in, going to precast a seed, or when the tank's running in, you can cast a seed, cast my UA to set up, cast a Haunt if you're running the pack up, cast Vile Taint, cast Soul Rot, pop your Trinket, pop your Malevolence, and you'll start Rapturing. Rapture, launch this thing, pray for more shards, got a proc, there you go, Rapture, Rapture, Rapture. And honestly, it feels sort of slow here, but look at the damage, 2.65 million. Like, it's a lot of AoE. And let me refresh these agonies here. Also, Fall to Agony, triggering off these agony refreshes, right? Look at the breakdown here as well. Wither is beating out Rapture, followed by Rapture, Agony, and then Blackened Soul. Now, interesting thing here as well, so I'm holding my Vile Taint until now. Those agonies reach less than 10 seconds, then applying it. And look at the damage go out there. That's from Volatile Agony. So the question is sort of, how do you want to handle Vile Taint cast and such when you're playing Volatile Agony? Do you want to hold your Vile Taint if it comes off cooldown for your previously cast agonies, which are going to be manually cast because, you know, long cooldown Vile Taint, to hit 10 seconds and then cast your Vile Taint, or how do you want to proceed there? Because a bit of a desync here, but realistically, there's not a huge desync. I'm holding for a few seconds here, not a big deal. I'll cast Vile Taint again here, trigger Volatile Agonies, there they go, cast my Soul Rot here, Trinket, Malevolence, Rapture spam, Rapture, 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 Rapture. And this is where you can feel the difference. You can feel the difference between Soul Harvester and Hellcaller. Hitting your buttons feels like, damn, I'm doing damage as Hellcaller. Soul Harvester feels cool too, because the guy is spawning behind you and doing damage, but it's not how Hellcaller feels. Hellcaller feels incredible. Breakdown here, Wither, beating out Malefic Rapture. Rapture, the biggest hit being 1.15 million. Rapture's biggest hit being, Wither's biggest hit being 371. Agony, Blackened Soul, Volley, so on and so forth. Wither cranks. Question is Wither going to last? Honestly, I couldn't tell you. All right, it's been half an hour. I've managed to leave combat as Affliction. Finally, we're heading back into the dummies here. We're playing Soul Harvester now. Now, I'm not really changing my talents here when it comes to the cleave build. I'm still playing Sacrilege, even a Soul Harvester. Maybe you want to change some points here and there. Maybe you want to put a point over here like an Infirmity or in Dark Lair or whatever you want in AoE. I'm playing this build, once again, do whatever you'd like. For the most part, you can see what Soul Harvester does here, breakdown-wise, regardless. Basically the same rotation, just it's important to keep in mind, for 15 seconds after you cast your Soul Rot, Shadow of Death is active. So every Rapture you cast is going to summon the Shadow of Death, which applies Soul Anathema, does damage whenever it comes out, does more damage to your UA targets in general. But keep in mind, this is broken. I believe this is sort of broken, and I do want to play, I do want to play Ravenous Afflictions here. I'll pull a point here and put it in there. It's fine. For more Nightfall procs. But once again, the proc chance on this is actually very low. Regardless, though, synergy, we will give it a shot. So, similar extent, we're going to head in here, reset this. Hellcaller burst like 2.8 million, I think, roughly, in the opener, and it was like sort of shard starved. Let's see what Soul Harvester can do. So, I'm going to cast a Seed, cast a UA, cast my Haunt, tanks running in around the pack up. Vile Taint, I'm going to go Soul Rot, going to pop my Trinket here. Start Rapturing. One Rapture. Look at the damage jump here, right? Because of the demonic entity spawning. It jumps like 400k for each Rapture, right? Some volleys coming in here. Waiting for shards here. Waiting for shards here. Got a shard. We can cast that. Cool. Casting up Haunt, because why not? Waiting for shards here. Got a Rapture. There we go. A bitch starved on shards. Gonna refresh his agonies here. RNG is RNG. You have less haste because you're not popping your Malevolence here. So it's also that, just in general, too. Gonna dump this because why not? Gonna cast my Haunt here really fast, then cast Vile Taint when they're in Vault of Agony range. There they are. Pop that. Get the refresh. Rapture a little bit here. A few Raptures coming in. Some procs, not too bad. Some refunds. Dump these Nightfall procs. Refresh this UA. I mean, for the most part, looking at the breakdown here, like, a lot of it is Rapture. There's volleys here. Demonic Soul used to be a lot higher when it came to, like, AoE damage. I hadn't even tested a whole lot of AoE until about 10 minutes ago. And it's a little disappointing seeing where it's at, but at the same time, like, they nerfed it a crazy amount last build, and it sort of makes sense as well when things get nerfed by that much. Well, typically aren't the best. So we're going to go Vile Taint again here. Soul Rot, you can see them spawning whenever you cast your Raptures here. There's 4. I'm going to cast my Haunt here. There's 5. There's a Shadow Bolt we can cast. 5, 6-ish Raptures, give or take. And once again, I'm expecting, like, my actual dude, like my Demonic Soul, or Soul Anathema, to be doing a good bit of damage here, right? But the breakdown, like, I mean, Soul Anathema's here at 6%. The big dude's here 8%. Huge amounts of Rapture. And don't get me wrong, like, you also have death effects, which aren't, you know, being factored in here, like Shared Fate. You have this, which is not working currently. Setail's Ambition. This is not working, giving a Nightfall stack, I don't believe. Casting Haunt grants Nightfall. Does it actually? Am I being lied to? Let's find out. Nightfall's here. Well, maybe it's working now. I'm not even sure. Either way, it was working for a while. But point being, like, some of the larger effects and all that, without them all working, the proc chance being low here on Ravenous Afflictions and all that, just feels a little bit subpar comparatively what a Hellcaller can do. It could be a bit of like a Hellcaller's too strong compared to Soul Harvester, but you got to also apply the fact that when we're in plus, mobs are dying, so a lot of Shared Fate procs. When these are fixed and other bugs are worked out and tuned properly, maybe Soul Harvester is more like the AoE mobs dying M plus spec, comparatively to Hellcaller being the better raid spec. So we'll see, but you can see here clearly when it comes to both single target and AoE, Hellcaller is ahead by a substantial margin, but, you know, tuning is coming, and we'll see if that's the case next week. So, like always, thanks for watching, guys. It wraps it up, and hopefully you enjoyed the video and this first-hand look at how Affliction Warlock is in War Within Beta. I have to say, I mean, like I already mentioned, Affliction's a lot of fun to play. It feels good to play. Rapture is still your spender and all that. I understand people don't like Rapture as much. It is what it is. I'm just the messenger. I just play the game. But point being, this feels like a very fun version of Affliction. I think a lot of that stems from having Hellcaller, having Malevolence as a button to hit as like a Dark Soul, but even without that, it still feels good rotationally. So Soul Harvester also some benefits there, and yeah, you know, we'll see where it goes. No Siphon Life and Permanent Corruption does wonders for a spec, you know, who knew? But like always, weekly rewards, add-ons, you want them. Links to Twitch and Discord down below. They're all for free for you guys. At the same time, like always, we're in the video. A huge shout out to my patrons. We're also supporting on Patreon. Like always, thank you all a million times. I really appreciate it. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon, should be a link up here, as well as down below in the description. And the War Within Beta Warlock spreadsheet will indeed be live probably within a day or so on Patreon. If you want early access to that, a tier 3 Fellow Guard rank or higher does indeed get that. And yeah, so like I said, we're going to have videos coming out on Destruction and Demonology as well in a similar fashion to this. Likely over the next few days, I might wait until next week's build for Demonology, because Demo is still really bugged in the bottom of the tree with like dog damage, amp talents and all that, but at the same time there's enough there to go off of, sort of, so we'll feel it out, we'll see where it goes. But also next week is more raid testing, heroic, and then getting into mythic on Friday. I'll be streaming that if you're around. If not, you can catch it here also. So all that being said, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.